And we're live.
Yes, we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a return to Movie Confessions Movie Reviews. I am your MC, Ben. Joined by me is my Mr.
Co-host John Jfry.
And we have ourselves a special guest. A man of many talents, a man who definitely knows how to be inspirational in his own rights. Why don't you introduce yourself, please, good sir?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mark Diaz. I am the CEO of Dream, Inspire, Obtain, and the host of DIOTalk. I'm an honored and a pleasure to be on your show, guys. How are you guys doing?
We are doing fine, John.
We're doing good. We're doing very good.
Yes, and if any of you all have came over from Dio's podcast, we did an episode for his channel. So we talked about
releasing later this month.
Yes, so and we all were talking about wanting to come back and do a review, and what better way to do a review than the mammoth movie we got recently, none other than Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League. So I guess there's no getting around it. Let's just get to it. Basically, folks, we're gonna just go through quite a bit of a list of points that I personally want to hit, where somebody was like, "Really? We're gonna talk about this? We're gonna talk about that?" So, but
I thought this podcast and review show was all fly on your seat and stuff. Now we're getting all formal and all that craziness.
This was a 4-hour film, and we're coming off of a shitty version known as the Whedon cut. And more about Whedon we could say, the better. So,
yeah, I know.
Okay, so obviously, I'll just be quick with what Justice League was about, which is more or less consistent with what both cuts are. So after the death of Superman and Batman v Superman, the world is pretty much lost, and now it's at stake of a bigger threat from a villain named Steppenwolf. But this time, we also get a bigger threat known as Darkseid. Now the League must come together, assembled by Batman and Wonder Woman, to battle this threat, as well as obtain these mother boxes to save the world and potentially bring the League home. So, sorry. One of, obviously, I would say anyone and everyone probably has an idea of what Joss Whedon's version of Justice League was. But
it sucked.
Okay, so I was gonna say, okay, any just quick initial say. You said it sucked. John, what do you have to say about Whedon's cut?
Hot dumpster fire.
What did I do with my hands? I'm lying. The movie sucked.
Nothing else to add.
It sucked balls.
Okay. So obviously, I'm just gonna say, let's face it. Oh my God, he did Avengers.
Okay. I'll be a little bit more professional.
Go ahead.
Being a fan of DC, I waited a long time for a Justice League movie, right? So I'm not gonna fully shit on it. I appreciate it because fucking we already have 4 or 5 Avenger movies, and this is like with Joss, whatever his name is, was his first Avenger Justice League movie ever. So I'm not gonna fully shit on it. I do appreciate the art, but after seeing Zack Snyder 4-hour journey, it sucks.
And I'm just gonna add, okay, but going into it, knowing what Zack was prepared to do and what he filmed, and then obviously with the personal tragedy that happened to him, the fact that Whedon was brought in, I think everyone was just thinking like, can he really salvage this? And how is his thing gonna be here? And with all the recent things we learned about from the behind-the-scenes stuff, several of the actors coming out and saying things about Whedon, it just seemed like, well, was this a more self-sabotage situation that someone thought they were untouchable and that, oh my God, they're going to love whatever I do? And Now it's like, you sucked, and you probably just struck lightning in a bottle with Avengers.
Quick question: Did Joss what's his name? Did he direct the Avengers? So maybe there's behind like you said a sabotage that because he directed the Avengers, he went on the DC side and tried to do a Montreal screw job. Oh
God. Okay, so that is a theory, but you figured he did the first Avengers, and the second Avengers, Age of Ultron. It just seemed like there was just so much going on that he more or less people were like, what is he doing? Like, what's going on? I believe, if you could correct me if I'm wrong, John, this was around the time when it was starting to unravel that Whedon wasn't like the, oh my God, he really is such a visionary, a pioneer, such a great person to work with.
Yeah, like even when we first went to see Justice League, I was like, what the hell was this shit? And I even said, I uttered the word old man Whedon to you.
Yes.
When we were coming home, and I'm like, oh my God, what is this? Old man Whedon and shit. And I was done with him after that. I was like, what the hell is this shit?
Yeah.
what is that? After Age of Ultron?
No, after Justice League.
Yeah.
When we went to go see, I was like, what the hell is this? And I knew, even though I knew going in, I was like, this is not Zack's movie.
Yeah.
And I was arguing with Ben. I said, not arguing, I should say, but like, I was like, Zack should get credit.
Yeah.
And
you
he
know
didn't at the time.
you can I curse here?
Oh.
Yeah.
Is
what
that
the fuck?
well, you know the movie. He fucked up as soon as he saw Superman. They did that green screen, try to remove the mustache. You know the movie was fucked up, and that's like what 5 seconds into the movie.
Yeah.
And they try to make it very like meaningful, like a hope moment, and it was a fuck up moment for them.
Yeah, and then you see and then this is where the parallels turn. You see the difference once you begin the Zack Snyder movie versus the first version we got. You see the total difference, and it's a much better difference. I love the opening for Zack Snyder's
Yes.
cut of the movie.
Yes.
It actually connected something that they were gonna do, but they got cold feet on.
Yes. So that is how we kind of feel in general with the whole Whedon thing. And coming off of the Whedon thing and everything else that was coming about with DC, obviously everyone was like, oh, we want what Snyder did. Give Snyder the chance. So with all those rumblings and with all the rumors and even with all the petitions and fan outcry, we can all say, yes, we want to see what he did because he had to deal with this. Whedon kind of just did shit.
But look at you know this DC universe is gonna be trouble as soon as the first Man of Steel came out, because the second one was supposed to be number 2, but then they changed it, Batman versus Superman, and then they did all these last minute adjustments to try to sell tickets, and from there the train derailed, and everything became kind of fucked up.
Yep. So it was more or less the fact that they were trying to play catch up because Man of Steel wasn't as well received and financial as they wanted it to. And yeah, as you said, Snyder wanted to do Man of Steel 2, but then said, no, throw Batman in there and start setting this up. So this was kind of their whole like, okay, let's see if we can do this and see if it works. And with Batman v Superman, whatever we could say about the director's cut being that it really improved in general, it still was just the fact that it obviously was a catch-up thing. It's like, that's why Marvel, the MCU, was successful. They planted everything. Everyone got their chance, so we were invested. We weren't invested in everybody, as we are now because of what we've seen and how all the actors did. But I digress. So with that being said, and I will say my thing because I did post on Facebook when I saw it, just the general, like, what would be the top title when he described the movie of Zack Snyder's cut, which I described it as, this is a live action DC animated film. Because if there's anything the animated films DC had done, they are superior when it comes to their story, when it comes to using their characters. And this did it so well. It literally was like that I will be honest, I literally got a little emotional because you felt the characters, you felt the investment in the story, and the
You
fact that
empathize. You
yeah,
invested emotionally in these scenes and these characters. Yes.
And then
and just
people,
go ahead. No,
go,
you
okay, and then people wonder why I like Batman: Mask of the Phantasm.
yes,
Like that is a good, and I love the other Justice League movies, but like that it felt like you and I'll go off what you said, but it did feel like you were watching one of the DC animated movies or TV shows. I was like,
yes.
what is
Yes.
this?
Yeah. So, and just to finish my part, and then I guess asking for what your overview is, and I think that was kind of the way with how having that happen, with that being that way, and with everything what happened, oh,
No,
with the
go ahead.
okay, with the animated stuff, because that has always been something they did.
Yeah, they're animated cartoons, even when they're not trying. Because look at Status Shock.
I'm saying I
Even
love that. I love
yeah,
that.
it's really good. Even when they're not trying, they're good at it. It's they have that good writing skill or writing team. They have that. Um, One of the things of DC in general is their story arc, their writing. It's way superior than Marvel. But Marvel sells you everything else. It could be a shitty story, but it'll give you an A+ in entertainment.
Yeah,
You know.
and that's why I personally say, like, look, I love both. I love both as much. I just lean towards more DC because when it comes to darker storylines, they can do those really well. Like
Yes.
Marvel has good dark storylines, but DC pretty much made their stamp with a lot of these storylines. So, anything you want to add with your initial like overview type of thing with the movie, like other than obviously what you said?
Uh, my overview with the movie with Josh's one. We're still on Josh.
No, with Snyder. Like, obviously, when you went in, it's like you had the anticipation, everything that went on. Like, as I said, I thought it was a live action DC movie. Like, you feel like, I wouldn't say, let me ask you, do you think like this comes as close as it can be for it being like first Avengers level? Like, we know Avengers, they set everything up, but would you say, in the sense of just the hype and what they did with the story, is it near there? Like, it's an Avengers type of film?
No, it's
Okay.
better. It's better in the sense of like the adventures they're always trying to find their place in the world. Whether you're either good or bad, Civil War shit. DC, everybody who knows who the fuck they are, even though they're trying to find themselves, they know who they are. Like example, you take the character of Al Gordon. Al Gordon, he doesn't know, Hope, but he knows he's Al Gordon. He knows he's a badass. They know who they are, so it's way better. It's now giving the opportunity to create more content, more story mode, more arcs, and give them the freedom of giving that rated R. You give them a rated R and let it be what it is, because DC is dark. It'll fucking shatter the box office.
Yeah.
It'll break HBOMax like when the Snyder Cut came out.
Yeah, so I do want to that I'm going to touch on a little later when it came to like with the streamer and that. But anything you want to add before we get into another part of the review, John?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, so obviously one of the better things to come out of this one has been the way the characters were handled. And obviously we're going to talk about the league itself and then the villains and then a few of the supporting characters. So I think we got to go with the big man himself and talk about how he was handled in this one. Our boy Batman. So
Big boy.
Okay, so let's kind of just, for the two of you.
Can we just give him an A+ and move on, because there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, so I was gonna say,
I know several friends. I know several friends of mine who'd be like, "Yes, thank you. Somebody who agrees with me. Okay, just move on. He's the greatest."
Okay, so I was gonna say, anything to say with Ben Affleck, because we know he had his detractors, but obviously it's like, look, he did great. We knew what he was capable of, and that's why Snyder hired him. So go.
Ben Affleck is comic book to the core. He is the core foundation of what a comic book fan. And I'm not talking about comic book people that are now comic book because of the movies. I'm talking about way back in the day when you used to get bullied and called a nerd because you used to like comic books.
Yep.
You know, Ben Affleck has deep cuts. You look at his smirk. You go back to Batman versus Superman. His smirk when he has that first encounter with Clark Kent. That's deep cut Batman the animated series. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
You want to go further? You want to go down the rabbit holes? His costume, his Batman, is based on Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns.
As you
That
can
is
see,
the
people,
most. That
this
is the
man knows
most
shit.
popular. That is the most badass comic book. And there's a lot of badass comic book story arcs regarding Batman, but that is the most badass because it's an older man who's just saying, just give me one more shot and I'm gonna rip this shit up. I just need it one more time. I've been retired for 10 years. I want to prove to everybody I can do this. Yeah, I'm old and tired and in pain, but I can do this shit. So Ben Affleck gets A+. I'm done with this conversation. Drop the mic.
Anything to add, John?
No. I'm good. I'm a big Batman person as well. It's almost like for me, it's a check mark. Be like check.
Mm-hmm.
And he did all that plus more and whatever. And,
and I did not to the even though the Joss version sucked, but I do like the comedian aspect of Ben Affleck Batman in that movie. It was really good. What I do dislike of the Joss version is that they try to make him like humane. Like there's scenes in where like he's hurting. Oh, I'm old. Oh, fuck that. Batman is not like that. Even the what's this guy West? He died. Adam West.
Adam West. Yeah.
Even Adam West version of Batman was never a fucking bitch. He was like, "Let's go, buddy. Put him up."
Yeah.
You know, like Batman's not that. And I took offense. I quickly took offense to that.
Yeah. So obviously, as we know, and I think the big consensus was when in Batman v Superman with that warehouse scene was everyone said Snyder knew how to utilize Batman acting.
Yes.
So he knew.
Yes.
You got him. Okay. Now on to the female of the group, Wonder Woman, who we all know had her big moment with the first Wonder Woman, was in the Whedon cut at least favored because of what she was able to bring. Have yet to see Wonder Woman 1984. I'm gonna get around to it. But
you haven't?
I haven't yet. No.
Okay, I have.
Me too.
Okay. All right. So again, this is just in general. So as we know,
that's another episode. I got a couple of comments on that movie.
All right, so that we're gonna have to probably get around to, folks. As you can see, this man definitely knows his shit. But when it comes to Wonder Woman, here's the thing that I want to say. Obviously, with the Whedon cut, on the fly, we figured, okay, so she probably knew all the stuff about Steppenwolf because, she's from Amazon. They have all the history. The one big thing that I liked with the whole thing that happens was she went to discover and research and see all like that happened with Steppenwolf and Darkseid. So that got us like more. She got more utilized in the movie, and again, as we all know, like her whole link to Themyscira and the fact that she's trying to be a voice of reason and all that. So, I mean, that's all I really got to say. I mean, with Gal Gadot, she does a great job, and she knows where to like place herself when it comes to like saying, okay, I got to be like this, I got to be more emotional and stuff like that. So that I will say. Anything you want to add when it comes to Wonder Woman?
I think Gal Gadot, that's her name. Am I pronouncing it right?
Gal Gadot. It's like
she does a really good Wonder Woman. I like her sense of pause and think about things and the way she digests information. She presents herself in the movie. She's like the main core and the most valuable one when it comes to knowledge of Darkseid. Because the second one in line is Cyborg, but Cyborg doesn't get that knowledge until he connects to the motherboard. So I do like how she they played her. I like how they portrayed her as a badass. I love how they portrayed the Amazons as a badass. As we're gonna it's like a 90s movie. We're gonna go all out with explosions and everything. I love that. I think we need more of that shit when it comes to females and main roles. So, that's another A+ for me.
John?
No. I even double agree with Dio with the 90s thing, because if people don't know by now, I'm a big, huge 90s action movie fan, or just 90s movies in general. That is my years of watching movies that I love. I love old movies as well, but give me a 90s like movie and I will be like kid in the candy store, like, yay.
Yep.
Dumb action movies, yes, I'm all for.
All right. So next up, we have Jason Momoa as Aquaman, which this film did kind of, as Snyder intended, bridge the gap from that to his Aquaman film. And, obviously with Momoa's casting and what they tailored the role to, this is a departure from what the incarnation has always been seen as, obviously like a blonde, white type of guy, going for, if I'm using it correctly, since I believe he's Hawaiian, a Pacific Islander type of characterization with him, if I'm not mistaken. Because I know Tamara Morrison, who plays his father in Aquaman, he's from New Zealand. So, and he plays Boba and Jango Fett in Star Wars. Little fact fans. But let's kind of just be real, okay? We know how Momoa is, how he acts. Does that take away from Aquaman? No. It gives something new and fresh to Aquaman, because as we know, there is a specific way we kind of see Aquaman, and if nothing more or less, he is considered, if I'm not mistaken, from a lot of previous incarnations, the butt of a lot of jokes, since he's only capable of doing water type of powers, like when it comes to like controlling the stuff in the sea and waves and stuff. So the fact that you use someone like Momoa and give him the chance to kind of do his own thing, it's like, yeah, it's something new and fresh, but obviously you'd be thinking, yes, it is Momoa and it's more tailored to his personality. So, that could be kind of considered both a strength and a weakness to that character. But I didn't really see a problem with that, because again, as we know, it's Aquaman. It's like, okay, they're doing something different new to Aquaman. I'm for that. And what we saw with his Aquaman film, like, yeah, he excelled. The movie was fun. And, from what I'm trying to remember, they did try to expand on Atlantis and several characterizations. Again, it was more or less similar to what we got in the Whedon cut, but anything to add?
No, Aquaman is like the Thor version of the Avengers, but a little bit more badass. Thor is like, he's like he always wants to party and shit, but he's like has these moral. He's like, I gotta do. He had daddy issues, basically. My father. Jason Momoa's version doesn't really give a fuck. I like that a lot. He does what the fuck he wants, and his moral compass is just gives him like another reason to be great. He's like, I don't want to do this, but it's the right thing, so I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
But he does it his way. For a lot of, I like this version because for the last couple of years, the animated version, they had him with like they cut his hand off, which I fucking thought was stupid. And then you had like this was like, yes, ha ha ha, like the whitest Aquaman ever.
Oh, you're talking about Brave and the Bold.
Yeah, well, I like that one. Well, does the Brave and Bold have? That's the one his hand is cut.
No, that's the serious stuff. The Brave and the Bold is what you did, the cheery up.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I find it funny. I find it amusing, but like you said earlier, he's the butt of a lot of jokes, and you're just the fucking merman who talks on the fish. Nobody takes you serious, but with Jason Momoa, they do, and that's what I enjoy about it.
John?
No, I agree with Ben and Dio. He is the butt of a lot of jokes, and I'm happy that Aquaman has finally come out of that, threshold of stuff. Even with his appearance, may I go back to Smallville, like they were trying to fix Aquaman.
Oh, that was awful.
They were trying, air quote. Dio, have you seen the Aquaman pilot that came out?
No.
Yeah. They
And
did. They tried to do a pilot, and
just
it
like
came.
they
And
try to fix the arrow.
I'm not saying anything.
Yeah, because Smallville's arrow sucked. Cyborg sucked. Doctor
I re-
Fate sucked.
oh no, I
Hawkman
remember
sucked.
they had Blue Beetle, and that was stupid.
Shit, I don't even want to. I don't even remember that, and I don't even want to start.
I
thinking
don't.
about
Okay, I remember the Flash, Arrow. I remember Aquaman. I don't remember Blue Beetle being in there.
He was. It was like it literally. If you remember, it looked like. Let me see. I'm gonna look it up. I'm trying to remember. If you remember, I think Saban did like a power version esque version of something that I think was called Beetleborgs, and it just looked like gigantic.
Oh, listen,
Oh,
I love
that's
Beetleborgs.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
totally
different.
That's
But hold
different.
on. Yeah, but if you know how that looked, those things, that's what
Yeah.
came off in Smallville, like something like that. I'm like, why does this look like a freaking like it's like that
Yeah.
yeah. So that's why I remembered that. Like when I was on and off watching Smallville all those years, I was like, why did they make Blue Beetle look like that? That looks like the Beetle.
You know, Smallville was good, but I just thought it was a lot of like, Superman versus Clark Kent versus like people who are in trouble with kryptonite, addiction, because everybody was taking that shit and getting superpowers. And then it was like Superman versus Lex Luthor. Like you already have that when they're adults. Like give me something different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the whole they were trying to do the whole storyline within that. If he was a teenager, that was the whole thing. You have to think of it like, okay, how do we do these storylines, but they're still quote unquote teenagers and stuff. So okay, just let it happen as is. Okay, let's do it early.
The same drama, but what if it's like they're what if they were younger? What if they were going through all these dramas when they were teens?
That's what basically it is.
Okay. And I just say that because I know, like, it goes from the fact they tried to do that with Smallville with the Aquaman thing and all that, but as you can see, folks, it kind of DC has kind of tried to do all this stuff in some way.
Give me Young Justice Aqualad. That's a fucking badass right there, and he's black and he's gay, and he's super badass. Give me him.
Ben, have you seen Young Justice?
One episode.
Shame on you.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, you're talking to some. Okay. You know what? Give me the shows, and I will. Because you gave me shows to watch, Star Wars related. I'm gonna get to that too, since I have.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, folks. But moving
on. I know.
Yes, we're moving on to the two characters that we can all agree were neutered in the Whedon cut, and by far they were done so bad that we're so glad that they were done so much better. So we're gonna start with somebody who I wouldn't necessarily say was redeemed with how he was in Whedon, but definitely got more time to be more developed, and that is the Flash. And we're talking Ezra Miller's Flash, not Grant Gustin's Flash, because I know there's that whole thing of like, why, what, whatever. But if we recall from Whedon's version, he was, for some random reason or another, Mr. Jokester, didn't seem to take things seriously, saw everything as a joke, and was like, oh no, I can't be like this, and that. And it's like, yes, very... if I recall from, again, only a handful of episodes I recall from the Flash television show, he was comical. He had his funny moments, but he wasn't a constant joke, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
right?
even from what I can gather in Justice League, he is a jokester, but not like how Whedon had him in. I'm like, no, this is too much. This is like overboard.
Yeah, it's to a point that it's
he like the Flash. I like it because it's difficult, right? Because if you go look at the Flash TV show, you have time to develop a character, right? But when you're doing a movie, you don't have that leeway. So when a character is presented to you for the first time, it tends to be difficult because you don't know where he's going. And this version of Zack Snyder, first of all, did him justice. You can show within the 4 hours his character developed him somewhat. He's still new. He still hasn't mastered who is the Flash. He knows he's a speedster. He knows he's Flash. He knows he has his responsibility, but he's still evolving. He's still a kid. That's what I like about it. He's still a kid, honestly, because he still hasn't gotten into his forensic scientist and all that shit, which is later in the future. He just barely glimpse of the relationship between Cyrus and him. So he's still a kid. And they kept it that way. So you're taking this kid and taking him to now joining him to this this group with the world depends on you. They did him justice because that last part when he goes back in time, just it was very special.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so obviously, the actor himself, he's a like with Grant Gustin, we know Gustin manages to balance the comedy and the seriousness, and with Whedon's cut, he was essentially more of the jokester, but this one, the actor was able to kind of have just as much of a balance. There was a weight to, like, as Dio mentioned, the big moment he has in the end, knowing that, look, I have this ability, I just, it's just so much on me to, have to know, should I do it? Can I do it? And as with what the other characters did, the fact that they took this seriously and were taken seriously, that was a bigger strength with him in Snyder's cut. The fact that it wasn't just always like, well, he's kind of like the lighthearted nature. No, he knew what he was capable of, and he was utilized well. So
yeah.
Anything to add further, John?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, just like I didn't feel.
One thing I wish they would have kept from I guess it's very minimum. And the Josh version, I like the fact that Batman would explain to him, just take one person, take him out one by one, ensuring that mentorship. I wish they would have kept that part because that would have worked even greater now and Zack Snyder's version. Because you give him the credibility. Yo, he's just a kid. He doesn't know much. He knows his capability, what he can do, and we could provide to the team. But also, you're as a team for the first time, you see Batman taking him out of put him under his mantle, and hey, all you have to do is take one, and boom, say one at a time. I wish they would have kept that.
Yeah. So. I guess we just got to wait and see what the Flash movie is going to be, because I know they're saying it's not going to be Flashpoint, but they might set it up as Flashpoint to try to do like a reboot thing. But
yeah, I would have. I
know.
That was the original plan.
Yeah.
If people don't remember, like it was going towards Flashpoint, and that's what gets me pissed about what they did. What was supposed to happen was they fucked up. They go to the Nightmare universe. Flash tries to fix everything via Flashpoint. That's why you see that scene in, what was it, Batman versus Superman, where he comes back. That was him trying to, try to fix everything, right? Quote unquote, air quote. And that didn't work. And then Flash has to do the Flashpoint paradox.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think the best bet to fix everything, if they're not going to reinstate the Snyderverse, I really think they're not. I think their best bet is doing that version of Flash, so you can have that nightmare sequence, which is a money grabber. The guy Joe who plays Slade, keep him. That last clip at the end of Snyder Cut, and save that. And that will be the icing on the cake. So everything's reset, and you can now take the Patterson, this guy fucking Patterson, and try to incorporate it. Now I don't know how Wonder Woman will be incorporated. In that world, because it doesn't go it doesn't reflect well with Patterson's Batman. It just doesn't. So I wouldn't know how that worked, but if they do, that's what I think makes sense.
Only time will tell. So, and then we're getting to the final two, but the other one that was neutered and had publicly came out with the whole BS behind the scenes and all that was Cyborg and Ray Fisher, who definitely got expanded, was definitely central to the story, and wasn't more or less a throwaway character. And obviously, they did his story where it was, a better utilized version of the origin of what Cyborg went through. A former football player having personal family conflicts was brought back to life because of the mother boxes and is now half man, half machine, and still has issues with his father. So, and the fact that it isn't just like, oh, well, he's going to just do some hacker thing and whatever. He is there to kind of just be. I'm trying to really remember Cyborg in general, like his big main thing when it came to the league. But more or less, he was done justice with this version because the fact that Snyder realized, as he said, he's the heart of the story. He has his whole arc central to his family, trying to overcome his personal struggles and ultimately be utilized as a metahuman as he is. So, anybody want to add anything?
Yeah, I definitely if anybody who they did justice, it was Cyborg. It shows when he's at his top as a teen going to college or in college and being the top of his peak as a human being. That guy that everybody wants to root for and wants to be to, in a blink of an eye loses his mother, and his father, he loses his mother, and then his father is never around because he's busy working. And then boom, he has these accident, and now he lost his mother. He hasn't coped with his loss of his mother. He's still going through daddy issues because he's never around. But now he's entailed this human power that he doesn't know how it fucking works. And he doesn't have to cope with it. And he sees himself as a monster, and he thinks everybody sees him as a monster. So he's going through all these emotions, and then at the end, to finally, come full circle and come and say, "Hey, I'm Cyborg now," and everything just clicks. So I A+ to him too.
John?
No, I think the Cyborg comparison, like through Whedon and Zack Snyder, it's a much better Cyborg. I enjoyed it. I felt for Cyborg.
Mm-hmm.
There was more scenes, and you hit it right on the head, Dio. It's more human. You feel for him and stuff. It's a more human story. It's almost like the animated. Going back. We keep going back to the animated, but it felt like an animated episode.
Yeah. And it's like if they don't do a Cyborg movie ever, and everything's rebooted and recast, I think if this is what the last to see of Fisher, I think it'll be okay because you told him story, you told his origins, and meant something. Because he was a very important figure within the Justice League and Snyder Cut.
Yeah. So, sorry, I just had to do something real quick, but just
Right.
wanted. Yeah, hold on. Let me just get it right back real quick. So, all right. So the last of the league, the one that obviously is the big one that they had to basically go for to bring back to the system is Superman, where, if you recall from Snyder's cut, they predicated it as they're unable to really take on Steppenwolf because they need a powerful Kryptonian to do it. Whereas in this one, it's like, yes, he needs to be there because we need to be whole and he's going to help us out a lot. And he is a big thing, but it wasn't like the big central thing. And obviously, as you had brought up, the fact that, the whole thing with the mustache and all the other conflict going on, here it wasn't like as central with Superman's passing. It is a big thing because in the movie, they say that the mother boxes were fearful of Superman, but in the end, it's like that happened, but then everything happens as well. Like you have Batman doing his thing, Wonder Woman's doing things. Like they're all doing their thing, and it isn't like going into the back of your mind like, oh my god, it's Superman, it's Superman, it's Superman. It's like, no, he is gonna get his moment, he is gonna come back, but it's not like predicated around the entire story like that. And the moments that we got were more definitive in this one, where I would say, you had some bigger scenes in Smallville when he comes back, and then obviously how he was utilized in the final fight. And, a couple Snyder moments we knew that we saw more or less, again, since we're talking the spoilery, an evil-ish Superman with the whole nightmare scenario. that was a lot stronger here. And, Cavill, having already played this role already, does what he does a phenomenal job. So honestly, if we were to see more of that, or if he does get the chance to go forward, we know what he's going to be capable of and how he's going to take this on, especially with now this being the Superman that Snyder had envisioned, him going through the arc of the 3 films. So anything to add? And I got to just do this for a second, but anything to add, Dio?
No, go ahead, Dio.
No, I loved him. He gave me the black suit. The only thing was missing was the mullet.
Well, Snyder fought for the mullet. I don't know if you read. And I was pissed. I'm like, oh my god, that would have been comic book accurate. What is like? I go like, I'm like, what is wrong with them? What is wrong with them?
Man, at this point, they don't give a fuck. At this point, it's nothing. It's nothing to go and go down the rabbit hole. They just don't give a fuck. It's it's all about the money. It's all about the Benjamins.
It just seems like, as I said, they kind of got cold feet because like, well, we don't know if this is going to work and, what would happen afterwards. So it just seems
it's never, first of all, it's never going to work. It's never going to work because if you don't have people that know what the fuck they're doing, it's not like George Clooney's Batman. They put nipples on them. Why would you do that? If you don't know what the fuck you're doing, of course it's not going to work. Yeah, but you have people in suits and all this shit in corporal that's like, just do me that movie. Oh, it didn't do good in the box office. Throw it out. It's all about merchandise, what they can sell. It's not being consistent and looking for the future.
Well, we all know the biggest franchise who love merchandise. Well, they're not doing too well right now.
Yeah. So.
Who's that?
Mm-hmm. Star Wars.
Not doing too well?
Yeah, that's having its own issues in general. But I see what you're saying. But, again, when it comes to like everything that they wanted to predicate and just get through, it just seems like, it's not more or less they're just trying to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. It's just like, well, how do we kind of do our own thing, but also kind of have Marvel as the template? So it just seems like they want to try to do something, but they want to be their own thing, which again, it's just a mess that there really is no set plan, which is always going to be an Achilles heel at this moment. So
yeah.
Anything further to add with Superman?
No.
Nah.
All right. So we're okay. So we got 2 more points, and then we'll get into obviously just the other finance of the film. The villains. Starting off with obviously a much better version of Steppenwolf, which, in Whedon's cut, it just seemed like that he was just a rando who came in and was taking over the world and was all this powerful. The fact with this film, they gave him the arc, they gave him the whole thing of like, yes, there is a reason he's doing this, and he has his own baggage with Darkseid. So, and the fact that Snyder made him a hell of a lot more intimidating than the version we got, like just the tiny touches with the redesign, it just seemed like it really just added the weight that this was a threat to be taken seriously.
Yeah, man. A+. I'm not. There's nothing. There's nothing to say. It's A+ and move on. I mean.
Yeah, it's all anybody can say. Like, hey, go by the grading system. Anything to add, John?
No. It's a much better design. I'm much more. It was much more intimidating, and everything was great about Steppenwolf this time around.
And then just to kind of just touch briefly on it, Darkseid. Now, no stepping on Marvel stands. He was created before Thanos, and as we know, well, from what I've read about what his whole thing is, I think it's pronounced exactly like Apocalypse, like that's his homeworld.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the fact that it's meant to kind of be authoritarian, totalitarian type of force, and even with the time we got and everything they built him up, again, set up a legit threat and made the stakes heavy with the fact that this is a being that really is power hungry and just serious about total domination. So with what Snyder did to give him those little things, because as we know, they did the whole setting it up with Thanos and all that stuff, and then when Infinity War came, we got his backstory, we got like what he was capable of. So again, this was kind of what Snyder's thing, that we were going to get touches of Darkseid, but with what we got here was like, yes, we know what he is and how he's very much going to be a big bad for the Justice League to go after. But the way the voice was, everything that went, and the fact that he, definitely was, over like more, I'm going to say more alpha to Steppenwolf, because Steppenwolf's powerful, but Darkseid towers over him and over everything and makes him feel inferior. You felt that with what they were able to do here, especially in their conversations. So A+ with the whole Darkseid, bringing him in and setting him up as the big threat. So any other comments before we get to the little like extra when it comes to this?
I have a couple of comments on Darkseid.
Go ahead.
He's definitely a badass. He's more badass, in my opinion, than Thanos. I like the whole, like, he's a general. He it's not like it's crazy because Thanos and him have so much similarities, but yeah, so different. Darkseid, it's more like a general. He has his fucking world. It's like you're living in Venezuela or Colombia, and everything is run by military. That's how Darkseid is. He comes to fuck shit up and burn everything down. Now with Thanos it's a little more different. It's like for me, you can even try to empathize with Thanos because he wants to make everything even. He wants to give that balance that the world needs. There's too much chaos. There's too much shit going on, and with one of these, everything goes back to normal. There's no more. It's not that much chaos. Everything's balanced. Everything's okay. And I think as a person, I think we all have once in a while have thought of that. But Darkseid he just wants to come in and make everything look like hell. I wish they would have given him more time to develop. Give me this. I think this is the first time we've seen him in a film on the silver screen. Yeah. I wish we could have given more time to develop, to be more fearful, because when it comes in that sense, he's nothing like Thanos. Thanos had to sacrifice his daughter, something he loved. I don't think Darkseid loves anything.
Yeah.
Anything
to that, John?
No.
Okay, so a last thing when it comes to characters, obviously the supporting players. You had Lois Lane, who, she wasn't like, I think if I recall from Whedon's cut, she wasn't like spurced out in that version. She had her story with Superman centralized there, just as important, and having like the little tidbits which kind of winked at like, oh, is she pregnant or whatever, and all this stuff. And then you had Victor Stone, Cyborg's dad, not just being more throwaway in Whedon's cut, but like he really had a role in the story where it was bringing him back to life and his understanding of the mother box, and then his ultimate like sacrifice to ultimately save the world, and giving Cyborg like more conflict with the fact that he wound up losing another parent. And then I'm trying to think when it comes to supporting characters, like the only one with merit is Stone's.
DC is right there with Disney trying to kill parents, man. It's like a dark code or something.
Did you have to say the Disney joke that I know?
So.
Oh shit.
Yeah, but more. Other than that, but more or less, again, we had the main focus on the characters, but the supporting players definitely filled out just as good with this version. Yes. And then obviously new additions like I forget the other scientist that worked for Victor Stone, but ultimately takes over for him, and it's like he was just there just as
the Anthem. Anthem is
Adam. Yeah, it's Adam. Yeah.
Yeah. So, any other comments with any of the supporting players?
No, they filled up the gaps, man. Lois Lane, Like her character for me, ever since Man of Steel, was like this woman who's having sexual encounters with Superman, getting the best sex of her life, is depending on this guy. It's like she could do anything, get herself involved in some dangerous situations, and she doesn't have to worry about anything because Superman will save her. But then you look at this Snyder cut, and it made it special because you see a Lois Lane not out outgoing. She's suffering. She hasn't returned to the Daily News or whatever the fuck it's called since her he died. She's actually going through something, and she's scared. And it's stuck. She's stuck in depression like a normal person would go through. So you can even empathize what she's going through. And then that special moment with Martian Manhunter made it even better. With Cyborg's dad, he was just he wasn't utilized well in the Joss cut. He wasn't, he was just why. My question is, why was he there? Yeah. And then you get Snyder cut. If like it fills up the gaps, and everything makes sense. And she's this guy that he's feeling guilty. He's like, "Fuck, I was never there for my son. Now he needs me. I want to be there." And you know what? I'm gonna do anything I can to show him that I want to be there. And if me sacrificing my life for he could be better and become a symbol of good, let me do it.
John?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
All right. So as you know, the characters obviously got more to have been developed in this one. With the story, that's kind of just something else, especially now that we had the 4-hour runtime. With obviously that kind of being a big factor and us being in a binge watching culture, that more or less was beneficial with this. I mean, they were talking before about, oh, let's just do like a mini series format to try to release this in parts and try to get that going. But I think there was like issues with trying to get that set up. I'm like, no, just release a 4-hour cut. If anything, I think even Snyder said, oh, you can stop like right here and then say before, I think it was part 4 or 5, and you can come back to it afterwards. But, it just seems like when it comes to longer movies that you're able to do this stuff. And obviously with what Snyder brought within his cut was the more development with the characters and then more with the story and, his infamous slow-mo type of system, which
I think people usually complain about movies being so long. Like, like I think the last thing was like you saw that. I don't know if you guys saw The Irishman.
Yes,
Martin Scorsese. It was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed those movies. It was long, but I think people have not complained about the 4-hour run is because we've been waiting for this. We've been tweeting. We've been doing our due diligence to support for this to come out, and I think those 4 hours are good because if he didn't do that, I bet you that all those extra feature clips we will never see them. They'll stay somewhere in the vault and disappear, and that's it. So I think it was very important that he come out with these 4 hours.
Well, when it comes to 4 hours, I'll put my 2 cents in. I've been also waiting for this day. I've been waiting for this day so I don't have to hear somebody complain, oh, it's too long, it's this and that. Yes, we are in a binge watching culture. These are the people who binge watch are the same people who would complain about a movie, and I'm like, you're doing the same thing that the thing I want you to do is sit here for 3 to 4 hours watching a movie. I'm happy for this to happen because this opens the doorways for more movies to be 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah, I'm
tired. I'm tired of this 2-hour shit.
Yeah, I don't think it would have been that long if they gave him the opportunity to get his stuff in, make that arc, create that universe. But because he wasn't given that opportunity, you will think, he went through his family issues and everything had to overcome. It will be understanding. That just goes to show corporations doesn't give a fuck about you. It's all about making that dollar and making the corporation bigger. But because he didn't have that leeway, me personally, I take it as this: I got to get my shit in because if I don't get every shit in, if I don't get my stuff in, nobody will ever see it. You know, it goes back to it goes back to like Batman versus Superman. You know, it came out I think 2 hours, but to see the full cut is longer. People criticized it, actually hurt the movie, even though I think it was like advertising or something stunt, you know, that they do to get money, but it actually hurt. It hurts the continuity of the DC universe because people came out, you know, by the time that DVD comes out, right? It could be 6 months to a year. You're getting all these negative reviews on the movie, and 6 months to a year, they're saying, "Oh, you got to wait till the DVD comes out." Yo, 6 months to a year, that's a long period of time of negative reviews. So you're really you're really gonna fuck shit up just to make a advertising stunt for people to buy. And that's what fucks up not be able to make that's what they say. The studio goes and say, "Hey, I'm not gonna give you money to make this movie because the reviews didn't come out well. People are just giving negative reviews. So you're kind of hurting yourself."
Funny. Okay. So with that in mind, it just seems like when it comes to things like that, again, it goes back to like, you know, do they really have that whole idea of like, you know, try and think of the long-term thing instead of like the short term. So, but again, when it came to obviously the utilization of the story and the bigger access of the villains, and then ultimately, like if you see how Whedon, you know, took whatever he did, shot whatever he shot, kind of condensed it, you know, at least it kind of showed us like, okay, there's a reason for this happening, and then there's more reason for why that had happened, and this character had a point for this. So in a way, with the 4 hours, and this is one thing that is superior in the Snyder cut than the Whedon cut, you felt the stakes and the threats of the villains and just all the conflict they were going through, because of the fact like, oh, the mother boxes in the Whedon cut, they were just something that they just had to stop. No, the mother boxes were essentially, you could be combined to terraform to make Earth be done and turn to apocalypse, and then find the anti-life equation and whatnot. So these are things that are put in there that really just show, yes, this is bad if all this happens and all that. And as we said with Steppenwolf and then with Darkseid, they really are power hungry and they were not going to stop. This is like the one time in the flashback sequence Wonder Woman stated, this is the time where he was defeated, he had to retreat, he didn't come back, and then ultimately now it's like, well, you go do my thing and then I'll come there if I have to. Ultimately then saying, nope, I'm going to have to do it myself. We're going to do it the old school way. So that I felt like when it came to like seeing the real stakes in what they were fighting against. And if you think about it, if Whedon's cut, it just didn't seem like, and we're going to do Marvel, an Avengers level type of threat. Like this was set up and shown as a threat that large, that had to have all these members, all these different powers, all these different like personalities, and just kind of, you know, just everything that, you know, wouldn't work together as a team, to have to come together as a team saying we gotta go through this because we're the only ones that stand against this guy taking over this planet. So that I saw being one of the bigger things that came with the story being as long and the 4 hours being as beneficial.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything to add, John?
I'm good.
All right, so
I want to go back. I want to go back and take my review back from the Joss to like. I want to take that said it sucked. I want to take it back and give a new review, which is it sucked.
okay.
No, man. I think I really want to give this honest opinion on that. Not to go back, but I wanted to. I want to play devil's advocate in a minute.
Go ahead.
I think that whole situation was like a ticking time bomb. You know, like the studio forces you to shoot something because they have a deadline. They got to get it out there. They got to get it out there. They got it out there. Now you have people calling you, why this shit not doing? You got to redo this and putting pressure. I think everybody is a victim in that. I think Josh, you know, just because I'm playing devil advocate, I think he was put against the wall. You know, something that was just forced him to do. And brought out the worst in him, and everybody that was there, the guy who plays Cyborg, Gal Gadot, everybody became victims of that situation, and I think it was just a ticking time bomb, and it was very unfair.
Yeah,
Other than that, putting the playing devil's advocate, it still sucked.
Yeah, I mean, again, you had a situation where because how Batman v Superman performed, and it's like, oh well, we're just about to do Justice League. Okay, we're gonna have to change this as we go along, and that puts Snyder in that position. Okay, let's see what I can fix. And then ultimately, what happened was, he had the whole thing, and then someone else had to come in and then try to do their own thing and fix it. So we could argue, yes, you did put this guy in that position. You saying that, but then it's like, well, he probably was like, well, this is too much. I'm just going to just do whatever and be whatever. Like, we could kind of say, yes, maybe his back was against the wall, or like he was like between that and like, well, he just said, fuck it. I'm just going to just try to make whatever.
But how would you feel if somebody came and try to redo your art? It's forced to redo your art as an artist. As an artist, I don't want nobody to fuck with my shit.
No,
and I definitely don't want to go and fuck somebody else's shit, because if it comes out good, yeah, that's great. But you're gonna still have those doubters saying that wasn't yours. And if it comes out bad, you're still gonna have those sides that you fucked it up. So there's no win-win situation.
Yeah, but at this point, we now, as what we saw with this film, and then with Whedon and everything that happened, it's like, yeah, it is going to be a situation where people are going to have their opinions about it. It's like, well, what of Snyder's stuff is here, and what did Whedon try to like? You're going to have people go back and forth, and it's just the unfortunate nature of it all, like timing and unfortunate set of circumstances. So we were given something like this, and it's like, well, this is one of the few examples that we got something good out of it. So at least it's like not more or less vindication for Snyder with the whole failure that Justice League was, but someone who was like, you know what, now I'm given the reign to do the story I want to do.
Listen, I can have my opinion on it. It sucked, but yeah, I'm so happy I got a Justice League movie. Right. Moving on.
All right. Anything, John? I know we keep asking, but we figured you'll have you say. Okay.
Nah.
So
he's chilling there. It's like you're hitting all the points.
Yeah, it's like I can say my thing. We'll let him say whatever. All right. Well, we're just wrapping up the way. I mean, obviously, with the whole way the look of the film is, like going back to Whedon's cut with the final part, it was like an orange sky or whatever. This one was most.
Thank God they fixed that. I will say that right away. Oh my God.
Because I think even in one of the earlier trailers of Justice League, they had the Dark Night sky in there, and that, as we know, that was a Snyder thing. But then Whedon's like, no, let's kind of do the orange thing, whatever, and let's do that. But we know what Zack Snyder's movies are, how they go for the look, especially with what he did with Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, how they have like that darkish tone to them. But in essence, to what story he tells and how there is.
I got a question. Not to interrupt you. Did you guys see the gray cut?
The black and white cut.
The black and white cut.
The gray cut. It's called. It's gray something.
Justice is gray. Yeah. No, I have not. I have not gotten a chance to see it. I probably saw like maybe 2 minutes of it.
The whole movie's in black and white. That's it.
Yeah.
I saw it. I liked it though. It was all right.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, you figured, hey, if they're gonna like show how the poster is, and because you figured that was like more of like Mad Max that did that, and then you had Logan did that, so they're like, oh, Justice League could probably do that, and it's like it could be done, but it needs to kind of gel. It shouldn't just be like a whole thing of like, look at the black and white. That's like so edgy, but
no, it did the movie Justice.
Yeah.
So Justice is gray.
Yeah. So, and I mean, again, we're going with the way the tone, the look is, and then with, as you say, with the gray filter, or whatever. This is how Snyder manages to do it, and obviously from what we saw with Whedon, this definitely worked in its favor and all that stuff. So, anything to add when it came to cinematography? I mean, because we probably know this is probably people he's worked with, and he knows what he wants.
No, it was perfect. It was
check.
Check. Oh, yeah. Okay. I was
Check.
like,
A+.
A plus.
uh-huh.
Okay. So, musical score, the film score. You have two people, one a veteran, and the other one who's coming up to be such a veteran. So, Whedon had Danny Elfman. Elfman, a prolific composer and film score. I believe he scored the original Batman since it was the Tim Burton film. Okay.
Yes.
Definitely felt more or less like, okay, this definitely fits Whedon's version because Whedon didn't have like it was more, more or less like the upbeat, colorful type of version. Whereas Junkie XL of like Mad Max and Deadpool fame and like a couple other good films, he really matched with Snyder, and he actually redid the entire score from what he originally was working on with Snyder, so that it was totally new material. And I just pre-ordered the score on vinyls because literally I would go back and listen.
That's what it's called, the score, like the album.
The film score is the music of the movie,
and it's called the score.
Yeah, score.
Yeah.
The film. Yeah,
send me when you get a chance. Send me the link.
For what I bought.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Not the link what you bought, just a link to
I'll
get more inform myself.
Yeah. So, but yeah, when it come to him and everything, that just worked and it really fit the film because I believe it was someone who said music can either make or break a film. I'm gonna go with one out there example, so just bear with me. Do you remember that Arnold movie called Commando?
No.
Commando?
Yes.
Commando.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a bold, like a fun, just ridiculous 80s action film. And the person who made the music for that was Mr. Titanic and Avatar, James Horner. It just was like so bombastic and over the top, but it worked for what the film was. Like dun 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 dun, and if people walking, so that whole thing. Now, if something like that was brought to Justice League, it's like, yeah, you can't really say it would have fit. I mean, it needs to fit with the tone. So again, going back with the tone and the vision and everything, yes, Junkie XL really worked well with Snyder, whereas Elfman, I guess, just did whatever Whedon or what was predicated to him for the tone of the movie. So,
honestly speaking, Josh's version, because the is like once the Batman scene came out, and like you're in Gotham, and like they showed the lights, and they gave you the authentic Batman music. I didn't really pay attention to everything else. I didn't give a fuck, because when Wonder Woman would come out, it's that same beat.
Yeah, her thing.
That same beat she has in her movie. So, so I can't really give an opinion on Josh's one. Like I said, once Batman came out, that music, you had me at hello. Everything else I didn't give a fuck. But the Zack Snyder cut, it was really good.
Yeah,
it was really good.
Well, jumping into like some of the final points, Easter eggs, obviously a thing that people like to pick on about, but these particular ones I want to talk about are just character based. Like anything else, y'all can bring at a later time. But obviously, the one that I thought really was good and kind of worked with the other known thing they were trying to do is Martian Manhunter. Now,
oh man, I loved it.
His design was sick, like especially with translating it on screen. And I only remember briefly hearing how the actor Harry Connick, who before I only remembered him as the a-hole guy from the Matrix movies, but for something like Martian Manhunter, you need a distinct voice, and he had such a distinct voice. I'm like, that works. And the fact that Snyder had said he's retconning his character from Man of Steel to be Martian Manhunter and everything, I'm like, okay, that I can get on board with. That actually really, weirdly enough, because I think he said the whole point was like, yeah, he's here. He's trying to kind of be.
Give me a Manhunter movie, Martian Manhunter. That's what the fuck I want to see. Give me that movie.
Yeah.
Give me that movie.
So, with that being said, we know that from what Snyder had stated, his original thing for the end part of Martian Manhunter and Bruce Wayne meeting was going to be Green Lanterns, which they were trying to see, maybe we can get a John Stewart in there, possibly the more preferred Green Lantern, because I know he was popular, at least in the cartoon of Justice League and in some comics. But, John, what do you guys say?
Well, you have to, as much as nobody likes it, you still have to. There was going to be an acknowledgement of the Ryan Reynolds
Yeah,
one, and yeah, okay, you were going to say that,
I was going to acknowledge that, saying that it was going to be
yeah.
the two of them because I know the movie they wanted to do is Green
And
Lantern
that would have been
4.
perfect. And that would have been perfect for the Green Lantern Corps. If you go into the Green Lantern, you need them to. And that would have been a perfect movie for Ryan Reynolds and to introduce finally Jon Stewart.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
Ryan Reynolds was a good Hal Gordon.
Yeah.
But it goes back to my initial point. You can be a good, you can be a good character, a good actor to present the character, but if you have no vision in the back, which is director, cinematic photographers, people, the writers, in creating all this shit, you don't have good people that know what the fuck are they doing when it comes to these superheroes. It's just gonna go south. I would have loved they would have come back for at least a clip, to make to do him justice. But I understand why he didn't want to come back.
well, it's that and the fact that the studio kind of vetoed it. I guess for they figured, well, I mean, really, or like who knows? But I personally said, okay, it would have been cool to see the Green Lanterns, but again, I don't know if Martian Manhunter was just going to be, if it was the plan where it was going to be the Green Lantern at the end, if he was just going to be, Martha Kent, just like that, and just kind of continue to do that. But I like the fact that like he was kind of always in the shadows and like, okay, I will present myself when I had to. So, and it kind of comes full circle that you have someone who presents what the bigger threat is and is willing to help. So I was like, okay, it would have been. I personally would have said, okay, yeah, Green Lantern's fine, Jon Stewart, Hal Jordan, fine. But I like the whole thing with Martian Manhunter at the end more personally.
I would have liked if Martian Manhunter was in the whole fucking movie. Because they give you something. It's one of those movies that give you something so good, but then you don't know if they're ever gonna make the movie again. And like I grew up reading like Golden Age comic books. So like my Justice League, I don't think it had it. I grew up reading Justice League of America. And then the Golden Age of comics, which is the Justice League with the Green Lantern, the one with the white gloves, and Hawkman. So I wish I would have had those in my Justice League, but it's whatever. But yeah, man, I think they did solid.
Yeah. So, anything to add with Martian or the Green Lantern, John?
No, I'm good.
Okay. So obviously one
But
of the big things.
aren't like HBO creating like a Green Lantern series?
Yeah,
It's kind of like
it's like we don't know. Like, you see, it's like yes, like sometimes I hear about it, and now like first when I heard about it, yes, then I heard no, then I hear yes, then I hear no, and now like as of right now, yes, they are. Like, it's like they don't know what. It's like when it comes to Warner Brothers, it's once again they don't know what to pick. It's like yes, no, maybe so. We don't know. We're gonna dance around a circle or something, but as of right now, yes.
You know what? They don't want to give me. They don't want to give me Hal Gordon as a Green Lantern. They don't want to give me the Black Green Lantern as
Jon Stewart.
Jon Stewart as a Green Lantern. I could care less for Guy Gutner, whatever his name is.
Don't speak about him.
I could care less for him. Then give me Kyle.
Well, again, I guess
the youngest, the one who had had his comics. He has the coolest mask. Give me him.
Well, only as it's been said, only time will tell. So, one other thing with the Easter egg, which I think was added on because I think he just wanted to do more, was Jared Leto's Joker. So, I want to hear your thoughts about this before I have my set because I'm pretty sure you two have distinctive opinions about this.
John.
Well, going from Suicide Squad to Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, I see what they were going to do with his version of the Joker. I see, because like you could tell as he's talking, it's a different tone of voice from the Suicide Squad, and I actually like the scene. I enjoy it. You know, it's not because Batman says fuck or, you know, this person says this. It's an enjoyable scene. You know, you can actually sit down and enjoy a scene and not critique it to hell.
Deal.
Go ahead. Anybody?
It's all about give me the right words. And after you give me the right words, give me the right people to pronounce the words. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You have the right words and you have the right people giving you that dialogue. It's magical. It's like fucking eating Lucky Charms. You know, Ben Affleck is a good actor. He won award. He won a award on it. Jared Leto is a great actor. He won awards at it, awards as well. Now give him some costumes that mean something, which the Joker means something to a lot of people, and Batman means a lot to a lot of people. Now give me some fucking Frank Miller's dialogue. You know, now let me go back. Let me go back into Snyder Superman versus Batman, right? When he whispers in his ears, you know, I'm the man who beat you. You know, I'm probably paraphrasing the words, but I want you to remember this, Clark. I'm the one who beat you. I'm talking about the comic version, and I'm talking about the animated movie, Dark Knight Part 1, Dark Knight Part 2. Give me the right words, and that's what happened right there and then. And it was magical. That chunk, that 1 minute or whatever amount of time was, made the whole fucking movie. I'm sorry, made the whole fucking movie. Talk. You have this beautiful king of Atlantis, queen of Atlantis. I'm sorry. Say to Batman, you don't know what nothing feels like, and have somebody pop up out of nowhere, and that somebody has taken a son away from you, has tried infinite ways to destroy your life, and now knows who you are. Knows who you are as a person, not the man, not the cow, but the man behind the cow. Knows your parent, you've been suffering, and this is what you become because your parents were murdered in a crime alley. You know, he killed your son. It was beautiful. It was poetic justice. It was satisfying.
So you said with Suicide Squad, you said how it should be done right. I think with what Zack would have wanted, Leto was on board with, because it's like, you know what, I dig that. I can see what this is going for. I know how the story's interconnected.
I don't mean to interrupt you. I don't know. You guys realize Jared Leto gave you two versions, different versions of the Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I caught on to that fast right as he spoke. Like, whoa, this is
something entirely different.
Yeah.
Which
I gotta be. I enjoyed both. I like the different version of the Joker and the thing and the bling Joker blinged out. I like it. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's different, and that's what you're supposed to do. If you look at down the Joker history, there are all types of different Jokers, and that's what it's supposed to be like. You don't want to be like Jamie Lee Curtis that goes into Batman Forever and plays Two-Face like he was the Joker.
You mean Tommy Lee Jones?
Yeah, Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis is somebody totally different.
My bad.
No problem.
But yet again, go to my point. You don't want to go and go to a film like that and play a totally different character and play like he was the Joker. That just goes to show you do not know the fundamentals or the right information of your craft or what you're trying to portray on the silver screen.
Yeah. So, but it was nice because the fact is that, you know, when it comes to the dynamic between Joker and Batman, that is always one of the biggest things about Batman. So the fact that we got one scene like of their interactions and their personal demons, and the fact that they're essentially playing a cat and mouse game with trying to one up like each other's misery and like who's gonna outwit who and whatever. So the fact that that was here and what Leto was able to do here compared to Suicide Squad, that pretty much just overdoes, you know, what we could have thought of, especially with how the Nightmare scenario was, and just, you know, if I'm not mistaken, how Joker, you know, he's essentially playing both sides. If I caught on right with what was happening in that scene, that like, oh, I gotta help you, so I'm gonna go there and I can get myself killed, but screw it, I'm the Joker. So, what were you gonna say, dude?
Now, you guys have seen the Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and Part 2, the animated version, right?
Yes.
Now, I want you to understand why people like Zack Snyder, why I enjoy it, and it goes back to deep cuts. You got to know what you're talking about when it comes to certain crafts, right? So I want you to do your due diligence, right? When you have time, take that scene, that last scene of that dialogue between Ben Affleck and Jared Leto, right?
Okay.
Now mimic it to the last couple of scenes in where Batman is with fighting against the Joker at the end in the carnival before the Joker commits suicide, right? Okay. And then after you do that, I want you to go to when he fights against Superman and compare that to Batman versus Superman when they're fighting in the Zack Snyder versions.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is called deep cuts. This is somebody, a fan of the product, well educated in the product, that knows what they're talking about.
Yeah. So check him out. DIOTalk. He's Dream Inspire Obtain. Okay. Obviously, jumping on to one of the last two big points I want to cover. The fact that this was HBOMax streaming, and the whole thing about could theaters have done this? Like a 4-hour cut, because the last popular long movie we had was Avengers Endgame, over 3 hours. The fact that we are in that binging culture and it came to streaming 4 hours. Do you think people would have been up to it if it had the conventional theatrical release?
Well, you got to ask yourself first, pre-COVID or after COVID?
And okay, well, we're obviously talking pre-COVID because we don't know what's going to happen with theaters, even though they're still saying whatever. But think of like pre-COVID, where it's like, okay, this is coming out, it's 4 hours, and you know, obviously people would have been, the hype would have been real, people probably would have been like that. But because I even saw when people were watching this HBO Max, they were joking like, oh, the let's do the Snyder Cut one watch challenge, just watch the entire thing 4 hours straight because we can do this, and you know that's what people figured. This was a challenge for them to do one sitting of a 4-hour film compared to like binging episodes that go from 40 minutes to an hour. It was like just one straight through. So
people still will go. They will still go watch it.
Okay, so you think it would have had a chance theatrically because let's remember the whole thing about like why one big reason because of like for shorter films is multiple viewings. The fact is you can only rent out as many screens as possible, and it's gonna be something, you know, they need the extra income, so more screens, more showings, and all that stuff. So the fact is, you know, and there was a trick that I saw that some people said, oh yeah, Avengers was able to kind of do this because yeah, they gave a screen to another movie, but they made a gap so they can sneak in another showing there so they can make more money. So that's kind of the thing where it's like, okay, if WB decided to take the risk and like, okay, we're gonna commit to the 4-hour just director's cut, straightforward, with a theatrical thing like that. That is my thing of saying like, okay, would people, if they saw that, it's like, oh my God, that's never been done before, this and that, that probably would have made people go. But the fact that that's the one thing people had said was you felt the runtime with the 4 hours. It's like you could have just chopped it up, stopped wherever. But when watching through it compared to watching shows, you feel that runtime. That's been the one big thing that people often either had disagreements with or complained about. So the fact that you're in a theater pre-COVID, where it's like you're surrounded by fans and you have your snacks and you're thinking to yourself, okay, hopefully this will keep me engaged. Hopefully some things won't bore or drag. When it's obviously it's gonna, you got to do things here, and that's the point of this cut. But with a theatrical window, would it have worked?
Yes.
Okay, so
if people they did when Endgame came out, they did like they rented out theaters and watched like Iron Man, the first Iron Man, and one after the other until until Endgame. They did that whole journey. Like people have done that. They would definitely sit down for 4 hours and watch the movie. There's no point.
okay, so would you think like because sorry. I think he's having a little difficulty here and there, but I want to ask him because as of now, he has an ideal setup in his house where he manages to put like the foam mounting for sounds to dissipate sound on his walls, surround sound, set up on TV. So he has been fine, or if not very happy with the fact that like a lot of stuff has been streaming and whatever. So I was gonna ask him, and he has been feeling not jaded, but more or less kind of always somewhat disappointed that the fact that the theater experience has been lacking in years because most theaters are like whatever, they're not taking advantage of what they have. So he's been
What?
no. I was saying
Okay.
how,
Okay.
yeah, because I was getting to the point of telling people like you have the perfect setup to watch streaming at home. You've been more to that because of the fact that you have been more or less disappointed in the past several years how some theater chains aren't respecting themselves, not taking advantage of the space or the experience.
Yeah, it boil from for me, it boils down to when you go to a theater, right? It boils down to the whole money thing, but it's like when you go to a theater, like I've heard from people, it's supposed to be an experience. It's supposed to be all inspiring and stuff. When I go to a theater, it's like, here you go. How you doing? Whatever. Here's your ticket. You go sit down. You go sit down, watch the movie, and the speakers are like this. Or the subwoofer is broken, going. What? No. If I want it my way, I can sit home, sit here, have the AV receiver, have my speaker set up the way I want it, and shake a whole effing house.
So with that point being brought up, if it was a point where everything was fine-tuned, the theater said, okay, we're going to bring back that experience. And Warner Brothers decided to take the risk of like, okay, we're releasing this movie, 4 hours, watch it in one screen, and we're going to just do whatever. Could have worked if it was theatrical.
For me, and I know you said pre-COVID, yes and no.
Okay.
It's like that, like balance. Like for me, it's like yes and no because you're gonna have some people be like, oh my god, it's 4 hours, blah blah blah. I need to go to the bathroom. Where's my more popcorn? Where's the cookies and the pretzels and the nachos? Stop.
People are gonna complain. What? Listen.
People are gonna complain no matter what. I know.
No. Fuck that noise. If you want to have a good experience and you don't want to go through what John just stated, put your big pants on, go to one of those fucking theaters that have dining in, and you don't gotta worry about that shit. That's why to this day, 2021, theaters have evolved, so you don't have to go through that shit. People still go and watch that shit, no matter what.
Yeah. So again, we got to see how post-COVID's gonna do. But what do you have to say now?
Well,
and post-COVID, not to interrupt, and post-COVID, after COVID, people are still gonna go fucking see it. You know why? Because people are dying to get the fuck out of their house.
Yeah,
like,
no,
legitimately.
Yeah, it's just for me, it's like, and then I don't know if I told Ben this. There's this technology, like you can get a server. You have to be certified. You have to be like an industry thing. I've heard about this, where you pay, I think, like it's so much money, and you can have the movie at your house, like legit, 48 hours. And I think that technology was the precursor to what streaming services are doing. I've heard about this. I've read it up, and I was at the forefront of saying, yes, I want this. I want to have it streaming And then 3 to 6 months later, then if I want to get a physical copy, I can get a physical copy. Wonder Woman 1984 came out in December, and it came out physically in March. So that's December, January, February, like 3 months. It was a 3-month window I had to wait. And I was fine with that.
Okay, so
Anybody? Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say but what were you gonna finish on?
No, what was it?
No,
No,
because I thought you.
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I'm
Okay,
done.
so all right, so that's kind of that, and we'll see with theaters and streamers and whatever. So I guess we're getting into final points, which one big question that I have to ask, because this is kind of what we would all want. What are our hopes and hopefully positive ideals of DC going forward? I mean, they haven't really released numbers on HBO Max, or I guess they're just hesitant to. And we obviously are getting Black Adam, we're getting Shazam, we're getting like a couple other movies here and there, and several of the movies got canceled. So should it be okay? Are they going to continue what they proposed, which was just the standalones, and then they'll try to see that down the line, or should they say no? At this point, we see what this is about. Let's try shared universe, and now we have our plan. But what do you guys
Well,
say?
I have two answers, right?
Go ahead.
In my opinion, right? I could be wrong, whatever.
Mhm.
When and this is the streaming part, right?
Mhm.
When things started changing and evolving, and everybody was coming like Disney Plus. Oh, Disney Plus is gonna knock the fuck out of Netflix, right? Or everything's getting knocked out Netflix. Netflix has been doing it for years. It's already established. You go to Disney. When Disney first came out, they didn't have shit. And they had good movies, old movies, but they're good movies that could bring them some viewers. They didn't release it. They promised you when you started it, they had clips of small short stories and stuff. They didn't have nearly anything what they promoted. They didn't have WandaVision, which they promoted they were gonna have, and you had to wait. They didn't have Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which they promoted, and you had to wait. They didn't even have when it first came out. They didn't even have Lady and the Tramp. They didn't have anything. Same thing with HBO Max. It started DC Universe. Let's go to that. DC Universe that have shit. They had nothing, no types of interesting continuity in DC Universe. That's money going down the drain. HBO Max, the same shit. The same shit. It's not working. You know why? Because you want to go and now everything's changed. You want to go and create something and put it out there, and you have nothing new to offer. You have to have at least minimum 50 movies or 50 types of different show ready to launch that shit. You had nothing. They had nothing. So it's not working. The only reason Hulu is working is because Hulu, when you watch regular TV, they have the contract that it automatically uploads to Hulu. So when you watch WWE on Monday, you don't have to go on demand. The next day is on Hulu. Watch any other favorite show, it's automatically on Hulu. Now they do the bundle deal with the sports. You see why it's they're progressing and HBO Max is not? You could be the right now Warner Brother. I'm not sure if the merger went through with Warner Brothers and AT&T.
Yeah, that went
Oh no,
back.
that went through.
Went through.
Yeah.
They're the
Oh, yeah.
fucking biggest network, bigger than anybody right now, if not the number one in the whole world. That's why everybody was so scared that they united, and yet they're losing right now. And everybody was saying Netflix is going down. Fucking Netflix has fucking uplifted their price. I've gotten more viewers, more subscribers, because you're already established. So that's why they're losing. You want to come up with something new? Make sure you have a couple of solid, right? And not even solid, couple of things in your vault so you could bring out to last you 3 or 4 months. Or maybe a year until you're able to now bring out, let's say, a Black Adam or the Snyder Cut or all popular movies that people are actually interested in watching. My next point goes to whether they restore the Snyderverse or not. At this point, I don't care. I'm not getting my hopes up. I'm not. I've done this. I've done this before, and it just it's too time consuming. I'm a fan at heart. I'm a fan at heart. I think I've showed it throughout the course of this podcast with you guys. But once again, it's an honor being here with you guys. Um, I'm not gonna do it to myself. I could care less if they do or not because it's a waste of time. Um, it took watching Endgame, right, to me to say, okay, I am no longer a DC fan because the ending of Endgame was beautiful. It was everything ended as it was supposed to be. Point blank. Rogers needed to go back and to have a life. Tony Stark was bound to fucking. He was always trying to find something to be his last, and he did. It ended where it needed to be. Snyder cut. We got what we. Everybody got what we wanted throughout the years. We got what we deserved. Finally, does not ask for more. Let's appreciate it and do our best. If we want to tweet out, restore it, but let's not get our hopes up because at the end of the day, we're not putting money. We're not fronting money so they could come and create this movie for us. They could care less. So you know what? As a fan who has invested years and years and years of my personal money and buying this share and being supportive, you're not going to respect my wishes or care what I have to think. Fuck them. And
John?
I'll leave you with that.
Oh, okay. So they should just, it's like, yeah, let's restore it. Let's not get our hopes up, but hopefully DC will have an idea of what they want to do if they were to try to bring them all together.
It's like that quote, hope for the best, but always expecting the worst. Boom.
Yeah. Anything, Ted? John?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, that just covers it, folks. Thank you for joining us on this return of the movie reviews. Thank you, Dio, for joining us.
It was a blast, man. I had fun.
Yes, and again, we will be doing our Saturday streams of the Saturday Confessionals. Follow us on Instagram, movie__confessions. And and just down the line, we'll be getting more reviews done and, see where that goes. Because I know one I want to do is Star Wars related, sir.
Okay, fine.
That's another topic himself.
Yes, so thank you all. I am Ben.
I'm Dio.
I'm John Jfry, and
Thank
that's it. We just movie confessed. Thank you.
Thank you.